stream, you have to another. And they can hear everything with the class and everything with the teachers. That's straight from water. That's how I should have said it.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello. Yes, okay, this is my class. All right, so if you can please put away your electronic devices, iPad, iPhone, other non-Apple thing, computer. So yeah, just make sure those are right. You don't need to have your laptop. Okay, I'm going to post the lecture, the PowerPoints after class at some point, but you will want to take notes in class the old school way, okay, paper, pencil. You don't need to use your laptop because once we get into the formulas, we're going to be writing a lot of Greek symbols and other unfamiliar things where it would be really tedious to go try and find that symbol and put it into your notes, and so it would, it would get in the way of learning, right? Who wants to do that? So I would not use a laptop, and yeah, we'll just do the paper pencil thing, okay? So today, actually, before I start today, I want to make sure, is everybody on MindTap? Okay. One person said yes for the entire class. Thank you. Okay.
How do you do the mind?
How do you do the MindTap thing?
How do you yeah?
Okay. So you weren't here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a lucky guess. Okay. So go to your Black. I'm just going to really quick give you, and then after class we'll talk about it. But it's on Blackboard, and it says MindTap on the side. So you click on that. And it'll come up with like a link to register for it, and then there's a couple choices. So at that point, we'll need to talk about it like after class, and then you just register and go from there. Okay, in a nutshell, a little more complicated, but that's basically it. Okay, so everyone's on Blackboard. I know I got a couple emails about Bryn, who is the Cengage rep, who is here. I would guess that most of you wrote down her information, but there are some that did not. And so I don't know her, I don't remember her room number, but I do know her email. So in case you didn't, it's BK Becker at ASU. So she is the Cengage rep, and she is actually here on campus, which is nice, because in the past, if you had trouble with your Cengage, and I guarantee, unfortunately, throughout the semester, there's some of you that will run into glitches, right? It's technology. So before, in the past, you'd have to call out the Cengage technical support. They weren't always very quick at returning your call or helping you. So now we have Bryn, and she is here on campus. She's a student, but the first go-to is Bryn, okay? If you go to Tara and myself, we're just gonna forward it to Bryn because, well, we'll try maybe to answer. And Tara might really do a good job answering, but I will probably forward it to Bryn because she is the expert in it. She knows where to go, what to do, and how to problem solve. So I don't want to try and then not be correct. So go to Bryn, and she should be able to solve your problems for you. Okay, your mind tap problems, not your life problems, but your mind tap problems. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we left off on Tuesday, we left off in groups, okay? And you formed little packs of people, and hopefully you'll still, actually today I'm gonna have you probably talk with them again. And so hopefully you have at least made one contact where, like an ally, right? Where you feel like, okay, like if you have to be gone, you can get notes, or you can study together, or at the very least you know somebody. Because I know in my stats classes, I mean, I took a whole bunch as a grad student, and every single one, I kind of felt like isolated in that I didn't know anybody. So that was one thing that I could have reached out and made sure that I had somebody, okay, at the very least, just to say, oh my God, that test was so hard, sometimes that's all you need, right? Some validation. So I feel like it's imperative that you have some connection to somebody, okay? And if you weren't here, okay, we just formed little groups, and that's kind of your study buddy groups for this semester, where you can, like I said, get together and study, or not, but you at least have contact information, okay? So you have someone to go to. Okay. All right. So, so today we are going to talk about some terminology from chapter 1. How many of you have read chapter 1? I did. No, that's fine. You're good. So, so chapter 1, intro to stats, right? So you'll find out that chapter 1 seems to have a lot of terminology, okay? A lot of definitions, a lot of bold-faced words, okay? But those are the fundamentals, okay? So it's not just, okay, I know what a population is and I know the definition. We're going to use most of the terminology from chapter 1 every day in class till the very last day, okay? The words we're going to talk about today, and then on Thursday, and in your textbook will be on test 1, test 2, your final. It will be in your homeworks. It will haunt you for the rest of your life, okay? So it's really important that we take this very first chapter seriously, okay? Some people say, oh, it's just the intro, it's just an overview, no big deal, you can kind of blow it off. But if you don't get the concepts, okay, if you don't get a really good grasp on the concepts now, then, in 2 days, in 10 days, it's, what we're learning then is going to be more complicated than it needs to be, okay? So just letting you know, just to kind of give you a, setting up the importance of this coming chapter, okay? No math involved, okay? There's no math, it's really just a lot of words, okay? All right, so stats, okay. All right. So before we get into the lecture, I just want to kind of get our brains working again. I know you guys have lots to think about and do and figure out, with your first year at ASU. So let's get back into the stat state of mind. So when we think about statistics, Parker. All right. What I'd like to think about is the what, the okay. What, when, and how? Why? So in other words, in your notes, like you to open your notes and write these down because I'm probably going to ask you this again and again. So what do I expect to learn in stats? Do I? And when I say learn, I don't mean something you already know. That's in past tense. You learned it already. My guess is that most of you know what an average is, okay? Or what a percentage is, okay? So you're not going to learn about that, okay? But what do you expect? What do you think? And if you have to, just take a guess. You're probably going to be right. What do you expect to learn about stats? When is the best time to use stats? I'm going to say time or situation. So when is the best time to use statistics besides for a test? Okay, so outside of this class, when is the best time or best situation to use stats? And then why do we study? I mean, when you guys signed up to be a psych major, or you talked about being a psych major in high school, and that's kind of what you wanted to do, did you know that there would be stats involved? Okay. So why is a core class, why is this required? Okay, besides that it does set you up for 290, okay, but why do we study stats? What are reasons why, besides you have to, and besides sets you up for research methods? Okay, so those three questions, sort of central questions to how we're going to approach statistics this semester. So in your notes, let's just take a few minutes. I'd like you to think about the what, when, and why, and so we can get into that space, the statistics space in our minds, and then we'll move to the lecture. Okay, so let's discuss briefly. So what do you think you're gonna learn? And I hope you do, but what do you expect? I think you are going to learn to do.
Yeah, how to test certain experiments to see if there's an average of like some group. I don't know how to say it.
I know what you mean. To see about an average.
Yeah,
Okay.
to test probabilities or averages.
And that's all we're gonna do, so you just summed it up. Anything else? What do I expect to learn?
How to properly analyze data from research.
Perfect. Properly analyze data from research. For sure.
How confident we can be about our analysis or what we find, our findings in our graph?
Do you see how confident? Okay. Great. Some data.
And we can learn how to analyze other people's findings, find out whether they're accurate or not.
Analyze and evaluate. The lower I get on the board, the worse my handwriting is, if you need me to. And I'm always at an angle, so. Okay, so good, let's move on. When is the best time to use stats? Or best situation? Yes.
So if you look at an article and it says something like the thing you talked about yesterday where it's like 1 or 5 and
4 out of 5
4 or
dentists?
5
Yeah.
dentists, like just to see if you think it's realistic or not.
Yeah, I love that. So you see, so people will say, what's that? Numbers don't lie. They lie all the time. Okay. So when we see numbers, we should not just accept them as numbers, and that's going to be one of the take-home messages from this class, is that numbers do lie. And that even though this is a stats class and we're going to learn how to do a lot of stuff with stats, that there's a lot of flaw and assumptions and error that's built into the stats, okay? So we need to be critical of what we read. We need to, evaluate findings, okay? And so, yes, so articles and numbers that are thrown at us, it's important to think about what that means and then question it if you feel like it needs to be questioned. Any other time that you would use stats where it would be helpful?
To find an average.
For sure.
Maybe if you're a business major.
So how, you mean just to use it in business? Okay. Sure.
Maybe when you're trying to make a decision based off of like past trends.
So one thing about decision making is that's interesting because that's one of the higher order thinking skills that you do gain from learning statistics is thinking about data and looking at data, and then making a decision about the outcome or the result that you get, and how you're going to report that out. So there's a lot of decisions that would be made, and so when you're in the real world, you're going to have this bunch of millions of neurons that have grown throughout the semester on the best way to make decisions. So not just on stats, but in real life too. So you're going to gain some skills that will transfer to different life situations and making decisions. So you'll be better decision makers. Okay. I think okay.